Hi everyone, welcome back to Just Jimny. As a final part of our JB43 series that we did, I want to have an overview of pros and cons for the Jimny, best uses for it, known problems that we know about on those Jimnys. So this is again my opinion. If you differ from my opinion, let's have a chat about it. Maybe we can reach a compromise. Maybe you're correct and I'm wrong. But from my experience, I'm going to give you an overview and pros and cons, the good, the bad and the ugly of the JB43. Let's start with the good. I think the JB43 Jimny, or the Gen 3 Jimny, is an excellent Jimny. It's a great little 4x4. It's got a niche in the market. I think you don't get a lot of other little 4x4s that can do the same that the Jimny can, or go the places that it can. I think if you look at competition that's in the same class as the Jimny, it's maybe the Lada Niva, maybe the Mahindra Thar with its price point. I'm not even going to mention the Fiat Panda because that's not a true off-roader. The Daihatsu Terios is not a true off-roader. We're talking here about a car that's got a solid front axle with low range gearing. And like I said, competition there is the Thar and the Lada Niva, in my opinion. If you can mention maybe a few other cars that you think is competition for the Jimny directly, mention it in the comments. So I think you need to make you need to go sit down and make an informed decision what you want to do with your Jimny before you buy it. I think the JB43 is well suited for city driving and driving trails over the weekend. Not heavy trails. As soon as you start driving heavy trails, you need to start putting up accessories. That's going to cost you a lot of money. I think it's an excellent vehicle for extreme off-roading. If you're planning to have that off-road toy that you just want to thrash over the weekends, the Jimny is an excellent choice for that. It's at a good price point and it's not going to cost you a lot of money to make it very potent off-road. So for extreme use, the Jimny I think is an excellent choice. Don't try and use it on the road when you kitted it for off-road use. As soon as you go that extreme, the Jimny is going to be terrible on the road. I think another nice use for the Jimny is to tow it behind your camper van. Again, it's in a niche of its own. There's not a lot of other small cars that you can do that with, and the added benefit is you've got a decent 4x4 behind you. So if something goes wrong with your camper van, or you're just visiting a place where you want to do a 4x4 trail, the Jimny is always there. It's a nice city run around. It's light on petrol when it's not modded too much, and you can do 4x4 trails with it, which I think is the perfect way of using it with a camper van. The one thing I unfortunately am not going to give the Gen 3 or JB43 Jimny credit for is its overlanding capabilities. I just think the engine is way too small to do overlanding in this car. You already have a limit on the packing space that you've got available. You have to add certain accessories to your car that adds more weight. You can maybe do overlanding if you don't need to be fully self-sufficient. So if you drive to the Drakensberg or the Kalahari and you stay in chalets, you can utilize the Jimny for that. But it's not going to be you're not going to be self-sufficient in a Jimny. Drive 120 kilometers per hour, still get 10 kilometers per liter on your petrol. That's not going to happen. If you don't plan this carefully, it can go wrong very quickly, and you're just going to be spending all that money in your Jimny with accessories, trying to kit it, and then you're just going to sell it on because it can't be done. That's again that is just my opinion on it. I did a few trips with my Jimny, and most of the time it really cost me a lot of money in petrol. And I think a big thing for Jimny drivers is, as soon as you get into a Gen 3 Jimny, your biggest superpower is patience. Be cognizant of that. It's not going to go fast. As soon as you see an uphill, you're going to down gear. If it's heavily loaded, it's going to cost you a lot of money. Now, I think the big reason why a lot of people buy the Jimny is because it's small, it's light, it's supposed to be light on fuel. And if you pack it to such a way or add accessories to it in such a way that you lose those abilities, why did you buy a Jimny? Then you should have bought a bigger car. So always keep that in the back of your mind. Why did I buy this Jimny? It's not just because it's a cute car. It needs to do a job, and help it to do their job. Don't overload it. Like I said, overlanding, that's the last thing I would use the Jimny for. In my opinion, the Gen 3 Jimny is a great car to start 4x4ing with. The fact that it forces you to teach yourself how to read lines, not to damage your car, using the right momentum on different obstacles. It's a great car to get into the 4x4 lifestyle. It totally converted me. It changed my whole life after I owned my first Jimny. It's not like the other 4x4s where you get in and the car does everything and you just hold the steering wheel. But as soon as something goes wrong, you don't know what's going wrong. Then suddenly you don't know how to read lines. You just don't know anything because the car did all the 4x4ing for you. And as soon as you get into a situation, you don't know what you're going to do. With the Jimny, if you have the correct training, you have the right accessories, talk to the community of Jimny owners. Everybody is very helpful. That's why we're creating this channel as well. We want to basically make this a forum, a video forum for you. If you have a problem with your Jimny, post a comment. Let's try and help you guys. The training we're going to be doing for the Jimnys is also going to be nice and informative. It's going to teach you all the right techniques, the do's and don't do's of 4x4s. I know a lot of people don't think it's necessary, but you know what? I think 4x4 training is worth its weight in gold. It's going to save you so much money. It's going to make you make better decisions. Doesn't matter even for what you want to use your Jimny. You need to get to know your car. The better you know your car, the better it's going to serve you as well. So next we're going to have to look at the ugly. We covered the good, now it's time for the ugly. I know some guys are not going to agree with me on the statements I make here. Some of you may do. Let's get chatting in the comments. Let's sort this out. This is from experience of my own and some stuff that my friends experienced with their Jimnys as well. So first off, the 1300 engine. Engine is underpowered. If you drive it hard, you add too much weight, too much accessories, bigger wheels, it's going to cost you a lot in fuel consumption as well. So be aware of that. The engine is very reliable. I haven't heard about anybody that had any engine problems. You know, if you do water crossings, mud, that type of things, you're going to get across alternators and starters that need to be replaced. That happens on any brand. It happens on Land Cruisers, it happens on Toyotas. If you do that type of stuff, you're going to get into trouble. Luckily this Suzuki engine, it's a high revving engine. If you're driving highway speeds, it's going to be a high revver, but it's bulletproof. With the amount of driving we did, no problems on the engine at all. Next up is the transfer case. I think next up that's probably the part in the Suzuki that the guys are having most problems with. This transfer case has got a chain in it. The chain in the transfer case is really a weak point. Normal other transfer cases just have gears touching each other. This one has got a gear with a chain around it, and that chain can stretch. We had a few guys that stretched the chains. This may be of abuse or driving too hard off-road, that type of stuff. These chains don't just stretch. There's a reason for that, but be aware that these chains can stretch if you put on wheels that are too big, or you're driving very rough off-road where your front wheel is in the air. As soon as it comes back, it pushes. Normally your side shafts break in situations like that, but be cognizant that there's a chain in the transfer case and it may stretch. The other problem I have with this is they wanted to make the Gen 3 fancy probably and better than the SJ derivative by putting in push buttons for 4 high, 4 low and 2-wheel drive. I don't think this was a very bright idea. A lot of guys have had issues with 4x4 low engaging, 4 high engaging. Sometimes you just need to drive a bit forward and backwards and then press the button again and hold it. Then it will engage. If it still doesn't want to do that, you actually have actuators in that transfer case that engages 4 low, 4 high for you. And those actuators need power and commands. So they've got a little wiring loom at the top of the transfer case. A lot of times after 4x4ing, you're flexing, you're driving corrugated gravel roads, this plug tends to get loose. So if it doesn't want to engage any other gear, check that plug as well. It's right at the top of your transfer case, so you need to be able to push your arm past it and then just press down on that plug. A lot of times that works. Another problem that we ran into was the vacuum hubs. So you don't have manual locking hubs on the Gen 3 Jimny, nor on the 4th. Some guys have issues that hub actually engages with a vacuum pump, and as soon as you go in 4 low, 4 high, that pump engages and locks your hubs, so that the front diff also turns. Not a lot of guys have had this issue, but a few have, and you know, there's an easy fix. You just put in manual hubs. The big thing you need to remember with manual hubs, sometimes it's not fun getting out to engage them, and a lot of times you forget to engage them. So then you drive into an obstacle and you think you're in 4x4, but you are not. So just be cognizant of that, but it's a cheap and easy solution. Okay, next point we're going to be looking at is the death wobble. A lot of guys experience this. It's a problem with solid front axle cars. The Jeep Wranglers also struggle with it. Sometimes you don't even have to do a suspension lift, that type of stuff. It's a small tweak, and then you say at certain speeds your steering wheel starts to wobble in your hand a bit. It can get dangerous, so you know, have it looked at. You can go to your normal dealer. They will install shims for you in your steering rack, and that will sort out your death wobble. The other option you can look at is having a steering dampener fitted. I know this doesn't solve the problem and only masks it, but after you did shims with a steering dampener, it's really worth the money. Another thing you guys need to look at is when you go and you have your wheels rotated, you're fitting new tires, or you're just getting your wheels balanced. The guys must fit the rim not only on the hub that fits over, they must use the stud connector when they're doing the wheel balancing. So look out for your tire supplier, make sure that they've got that stud connector when they're doing the balancing on your wheels. Okay, another thing I didn't like about the Gen 3 was the radio that came with it and the speakers. Everything underpowered, the radio really old and behind times. I think you didn't even have a USB connection on it. rather look at an aftermarket radio. You can fit a double DIN aftermarket radio with fascia you can get from the dealers. The only thing this fascia does is it gets rid of those round corners and gives you nice square corners, so you can fit a double DIN radio in. What I did for the speakers is I upgraded my front and rear speakers in Zugzilla as well, and then I just added an active sub under the passenger front seat. I already did this in my Gen 4 Jimny as well. I'll let you guys have a look at that. There's a lot of nice options available out there. You don't need to build in big speaker boxes or anything to get decent sound out of your car. You actually want a bit of decent sound when you're driving a gravel road in a Jimny. There's a lot of noise, so at least you can put your radio louder and you don't hear all those rocks hitting your car. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is the window button for the electric windows up and down. This button is situated on the door. This is not a very good position for that button to be. I know for normal cars it's much more comfortable, all that stuff, but if you're looking at 4x4, you're exposing that electric window button to water, sand, mud. On the one trial, mine got a bit of sand in to that little button. I had to take the whole door apart, take that switch apart just to get that sand out so that my button was functioning properly again. On the Gen 4, they actually moved that to the center console, so you don't have that electric power button. Another downside for me for the Gen 3 Jimny is the fact that you need to remove the back seats if you want to put a decent packing system in there. The seat just don't fold flat enough. You're losing a lot of space in the Jimny, the Gen 3 Jimny, if you're keeping the seats in. And I think that's a downside. With the Gen 4, they address that. The seats fold back, fold down 100% flat. That's a great positive for the Gen 4, but a great negative on the Gen 3. The standard suspension on the Gen 3 is horrific. Even on the Gen 4, I'd say it's a decent suspension for on-road use, but you can do better on-road and off-road with the aftermarket suspension. Rooftop tents, I am not a fan of rooftop tents on Jimnys. Gen 3, Gen 4, none of them. I don't think that car is designed or a rooftop tent is designed to be on a Jimny. Rooftop tents started the time with big double cab buckies, Land Cruisers, patrols, that type of stuff, and now you want to take a roof rack or a rooftop tent and put that on your Jimny. It's never been designed for that. It doesn't have the right suspension. It's already top heavy with a little bit of weight to top. Now you go and put a rooftop tent on top of that. I will never do that. I will never do that. I will never take the risk. Things can go wrong so quickly, and having that added risk on top of your roof, I think we can have a look at a lot of other solutions for tents for your Jimny. Either a nice quick pop-up tent, quick pitch tents, tents that pack small, that will fit in your Jimny, tents that are nice and lightweight, that you can load onto your roof rack. A lot of guys are working on trailer solutions for Jimnys as well, for camping, that you can put your freezer, ammo cases and your tent on a little trailer and pull that rather with your Jimny. You know what, maybe if you just overland, look at the lightest rooftop tent you can find, but I won't recommend it at all. That's a no-no from me, and that's why I don't think the Gen 3 is a really good overlanding car when you need to be self-sufficient. Okay guys, that was just a short summary of the pros and cons, or the good, the bad and the ugly of the JB43 in my opinion. We're going to do the same with the new Jimny. I'm going to tell you the negatives, the positives, and you know what, I think there's a lot more positives on the JB74 than on the 43, and Suzuki really did their homework with the new Jimny. I think it's worth the money, and it's going to give you great service for a long time. Thanks again for watching. Subscribe to our Facebook page, our Instagram, our Twitter. Our website should be live by now as well, so go and have a look at justjimny.co.za. We're going to have a few interesting things on there for your Jimnys. I'm going to look at a few camping things that are not available that we can maybe make available, and it will make Jimny lives a bit easier, so keep a lookout for that as well. And thanks again for being with us for this whole series on the JB43 Zookzilla playlist. You can look at this as a playlist as well. So thanks again for watching. Just Jimny on.